Malta has two official languages, Maltese and English. Maltese is also the national language. Until 1934, Italian was also an official language in Malta. Having been governed by many different countries in the past, the Maltese population carry linguistic imprints from many places. According to the Eurobarometer poll, 98% of Maltese people can speak Maltese, 88% can speak English, 66% can speak Italian, and more than 17% speak French. This shows a recent increase in the fluency of languages, since in 1995, only 98% of the population spoke Maltese, 76% English, 36% Italian, and 10% French. Surprisingly, it also shows an increase in Italian fluency compared to when Italian was an official language of Malta. French, German and Spanish are the other main languages studied at secondary school. Maltese is the national language of the Maltese people, and one of the official languages of Malta and the European Union. It is a Semitic language derived from Siculo-Arabic, however a majority of vocabulary comes from Sicilian and Italian. As described by Maltese linguist May Butcher, 52% of Maltese words are of Romance origin, a result of significant influence from Italy and, to a lesser extent, France. Malta holds the distinction of being the only country in Europe with a historically Semitic language. The Maltese language is written with a modified Latin alphabet which includes the letters Z, C, G, H, and GH. Various localities have accents and dialects divergent from Standard Maltese. There has been a decline in the number of dialectal speakers, mostly because of exposure to Standard Maltese in the media and the institutionalization of education. The Standard language also shows a more pronounced Italianization and Anglicization of the language. English. Before independence in 1964, Malta was a British possession, and a result of this is that English is still an official language, with government business being carried out in both English and Maltese. Most Maltese learn English in school, this being obligatory in most cases. Secondary and tertiary education are given exclusively in English. Today, 88% of Malta's population speak English. Aside from Maltese, English is the only other official language of the country. Although Standard English is official, the variety of English commonly spoken in Malta is heavily influenced by Italian, not only in vocabulary but extending to phonology, with the English being heavily accented. However, received pronunciation remains standard amongst Maltese individuals of a high socio-economic bracket. Malta also shares with the Republic of Ireland the distinction of being both officially Anglophone, both members of the Eurozone, and a Catholic dominance. Italian and Sicilian. For many centuries and until 1934, Italian was the official language of Malta. Indeed, it was considered the language of culture in Malta since the Italian Renaissance. In the 19th century Italian irredentists and Italian Maltese wanted to promote its use throughout Malta for plans to reunify it to Italy. In the first decades of the 20th century there was even a huge struggle because of the language problem, that culminated in World War II. In 1933 the constitution was withdrawn over the government's budgetary vote for the teaching of Italian in elementary schools. Although only the rich could speak Italian and with Maltese being generally spoken by those less well-off, Italian was regarded as the official language. Today, 66% of the Maltese population can speak Italian, and 8% of the population prefers to use it in day-to-day conversation. Although Italian has since been replaced by English as the official language, it is still used and is spoken commonly in certain professional workplaces. The percentage of speakers today, 66%, is in fact much greater than when the language was actually official, in 1931, when only 14% spoke it. A large number of Maltese learn Italian through Italian television, mainly Mediaset and Rai, as their broadcasts reach the Maltese Islands. In addition to this, many products, services, and businesses that reach Malta are Italian, with Malta being too small on its own to produce some things, therefore many people learn Italian that way. In addition to the Italian language itself being spoken in Malta, nearly 60% of Maltese vocabulary is of Sicilian and Italian origin. This means that several words in Italian and Maltese are almost interchangeable, and a Maltese conversation typically includes much Italian vocabulary. Consequently, Italian influences everyday speech. Recently, the Maltese government has pinpointed the possibility of reinstating the Italian as an official language of Malta. Latin. For several centuries, Malta was ruled by the Catholic Order of the Knights of Malta, with members coming from different parts of Europe. The Catholic Church, the dominant religion in Malta, used Latin in the liturgy until the Second Vatican Council. As a result, Latin was a prestige language and can be found in historic inscriptions and in the mottos of several Maltese institutions. Foreign languages. In addition to Italian, many Maltese generally have some degree of proficiency in French, and quite a few understand or speak Spanish or German, although several other languages are studied too. The governmental circular letter for the school year 2011-2012 shows the following language options should be available in schools. For Arabic, French, German, Italian, Spanish. This language is studied for the 5 years in secondary school. Form 3 Arabic, French, German, Italian, Russian, Spanish. This language is studied for the last 3 years in secondary school. Media. Publications. There are equal numbers of newspapers written in English and Maltese, with none being written in Italian. The vast majority of people preferred English as their choice of reading, with English being preferred by 61.13% of the population for books and 7.89% for magazines. Only 35.75% of the Maltese population preferred to read books in Maltese, and 22.65% of them preferred it for magazines. 82.41% of the population regularly listens to Maltese radio, 25.41% listens to Italian, and a smaller 14.69% listen to English radio. Television. The local television channels in Malta are broadcast mainly in Maltese and sometimes English. However, many people have access to foreign television channels from Italy, the UK, or other European countries, or from the USA, either via local cable or digital terrestrial services, or directly via satellite. Online usage of Maltese language. Maltese is not a commonly used language on the Internet, with the majority of Maltese websites being written in other languages. Out of a survey conducted on 13 Maltese websites, 12 of them were entirely in English, with one being bilingual, but not Maltese. Future. Possible scenarios for the future of the Maltese language are a subject of speculation among scholars. Dialectal variation of Maltese are in decline. There is influence from English and Italian. There is a perceived language shift towards English amongst the Maltese, with lexicological and grammatical patterns in the Maltese language increasingly anglicized. However, this absorption of linguistic influences saturates the history of the Maltese language, which remains spoken by almost 100% of the population.